So, welcome to all my brothers and sisters here. In this journey of heartful living, that is, we are learning to live from the heart. To learn to live from the heart, we are following a way, because heartfulness is a way, a method that is given to us so we can all arrive at our fullest potency. We all have a fullest potential that we want to arrive at. We are not there yet because there are so many weaknesses, refinements that need to happen in our energy field to bring us to that perfect state. So, according to Sage Narada, the state of the divine is the fullness of what you can become. The state of the ultimate divine state is the fullness of what you can become. That is what we are all striving for. And Bhagavad Gita says, the essence of Bhagavad Gita, according to Revered Daji, one is skill in action. How are we trying to get that skill in our action? By refining our mind. The action will be skillful and to perfection when you have clarity of the mind. That is why we are all making meditation a habit. So, to come to this fullest potential, we are developing positive habits by giving positive direction, positive suggestions. That is what the great elders have done in the past and continuing to do in the present. When sage Patanjali gave the Yoga Sutras, it was all positive direction for human beings. Be good, do good, have moral qualities, learn to breathe properly, have posture, do your physical fitness. With controlling the breath, bring your mind to stillness, refine your nervous system with proper breathing. Refine your senses that are disturbed by bringing the attention inward. Allow the dhara, the flow of your thought from out to the inner consciousness of the silence, the field of the silence, where your fullest potency lies there. When you merge your thought into your fullest potency of that silence, you become that. So they gave everywhere, it was positive habits they tried to instill for human beings so they can arrive at that perfection. So, skill in action is with meditation. The essence of Bhagavad Gita by Daji, the second statement is struggle for self mastery. That is what we are doing. We are struggling to become masters of ourselves. We want to become like the master. We want to live life with mastery. So, this is where the struggle for self mastery is the field where we utilize the cleansing technique and the power of intention. Because there is two things that you need to do. You need to remove the bad habits. You need to instill good habits. That's what we are doing in cleansing technique. What are we doing? We are releasing patterns of way of thinking. Patterns that we have created, and the dust by way of thinking negatively, we have created so much dust that has solidified in our consciousness field, in our vibratory field, in our energy field, and it's clogging it so much that you have no freedom to move. It won't let you think any other way than negative. That is where our cleansing techniques are helping. You are releasing gradually. This day's impurities are leaving me from the back. Anger field, it's releasing the past emotional burdens out of my point 3. It's releasing my intense fears of separation from my point 4. From my point 1, I'm arriving at balance so I don't lose clarity, so I can think clearly and act clearly. All these are all cleansing sessions that we are doing. After the cleansing session, now the mind is clear. So now, mind that has meditated and the mind that is clear is a refined instrument like a knife. A knife, when it is dull, it cannot cut anything. But a knife that is sharpened, it can cut anything. So now, with meditation and cleansing, we have refined the power of our thought. If you remember when we first began the class, we talked about power of the thought, power of the heart, power of intention, power of prayer. What is this power? Power is nothing but the ability to perform to its perfection. So, with meditation, we have refined our mind. With cleansing, we have released the patterns that are holding that mind to have freedom. So, it is now the mind is liberated. Now, you need to give the mind new habits, new way of thinking. How does that happen? What is this power of intention that can manifest, that can bring about character changes, and how to do it? Because everybody in the world nowadays, I'm thinking positive, and every day they have to take depression pills, or they are having so much difficulty. So even though they have a pure intention of wanting to think positive, where are they failing? Why are they failing? How is heartfulness different when we are saying we are utilizing the power of intention? It is exactly how you do it. Everybody cooks, but a perfect cook knows exactly what dosage to put in each item, in each dish, so the dish comes out tasty. So it is how you cook it, what ingredients you add. So also when we are making intentions, how long you make the intention for, how long do you need to sit in prayer, that matters. And from which field are you making this intention? It is like I can only give you the same example, like in olden days when they did not have Wi-Fi so strong. When we used to call my mother, she had to go into one particular area of the room where she can get connected, otherwise she can't hear my voice. Vibratory field. So our energy field is full of vibratory fields, full of energy fields. And each energy field has a function, a particular function. Just like lungs are doing its function, kidneys are doing its function, heart is doing its function. In your energy field, all the vibratory fields of different elements are doing its function. And just like there are so many nerves and drops and neurons, and that it is, we cannot even comprehend how the inner system is. Even in the energy field, it is like that. So gracefully, great sages like Babuji Maharaj, great scientists like Babuji Maharaj, spiritual scientists, they experimented with the great elders, many masters. We all only hear like Vishwamitra felt Durvasha has anger, but they're all great people with highest willpower. They experimented, and some experiments failed, but repeatedly they continued those experiments, and finally they succeeded and they made it to the goal. Even I heard Daji mentioning that Shankaracharya, even he made a mistake, but still now he's past that mistakes. So nobody is exceptions. Even the great masters, they make mistakes, but their mistakes are not mistakes. They may be mistakes in their personal life, but for humanity it is a guiding light, because they fell at a particular ditch and say they can put a warning, watch, there is a pit hole here, you will fall. And so ordinary people like us don't have to fall. That is how spiritual science came into manifestation, with all these techniques that are available. Yogic science they call it, and yogic techniques. And most of the systems, they do not reveal the techniques, because once you reveal the technique, people don't want to follow you anymore. They don't want to listen to you. They think that I made it, even though they have not made it. Just by having the knowledge, they feel like they have made it. So in heartfulness, we have the vibratory field of point A. And that field is directly connected to the source through the Guru's consciousness. Because the living master's consciousness is the highest consciousness available on the earth plane for those who are connected. And so through that field, that is our Wi-Fi connection, Guru's consciousness. A person who has already achieved, who is empowered with all those powers. And that is our connection. So when we are meditating at point A, making intentions, they're called sankalpa. Entire spirituality is based on three things: attention, intention, awareness. You have to be attentive when you are making that intention, when you are making that sankalpa. You have to be aware and you have to make that intention. And when you are making that intention, the attitude of how you are making the intention, you have to see, when you want to attract a king, you have to attract his grace. So, how do you present yourself in front of the king? Clean clothes, beautifully dressed, but with utmost reverence, you bow down. Etiquette. So, also, what we miss when we make intentions is we miss the etiquette of following a prayerful state. That is where people missed it. They're just like, I'm good, I'm making money, I am positive, I am loving. Doesn't work. You have to enter in that vibratory field as if you are presenting yourself in front of the highest king, and you bow down, and with utmost awareness, with introspection, you have to make that sankalpa intention. May this happen. This is already happening in me. So, what happens scientifically also, when your brain that is sending your thought is entering into this causal body field, communicating to the causal body field via point A, the vibration has reached and there is a stir, because everything is vibration and it has its own automatic reaction. The fan turns on, there is vibration in the room, and that vibration is giving us coolness. We are responding to that coolness, we are reacting to that coolness. That is how prayer intentions work. So when you enter that field and you make the sankalpa of whatever that is we're going to learn, it resonates, it reaches your causal body and through the Guru's consciousness. And that consciousness resonates with your thought, with your prayer. And there is an automatic response. And that vibration, what happens is it starts to flow back into your nervous system. It starts to go back to the brain. Because where did the thought originate from? Your brain. So when this vibration is flowing through your thought process, your neural system changes, and so your thinking changes. The changes that we are trying to manifest, struggle for self mastery, is because the way we are thinking. If we are able to think correctly, we become masters. We are unable to think correctly. So it is our thinking process that gets changed. So at point A, when you make an intention, that intention vibrates in the Guru's consciousness. When that resonates from his consciousness, that vibration enters into your field. And as the vibration moves towards your brain, your thinking starts to be different. So you are changing that pattern, and now you are creating a new habit. So, just like meditation, when you are meditating, that first 7 minutes is very important. Why? You breathe, you calm down, you center yourself, you enter your sacred heart. And from that space of that sacredness, you recognize that He is everything, you are nothing. It's your desires that are weighing you down. And you are accepting that, I accept that these are the things that are blocking me. Only you are there to help me. So you are shifting from I can do it to only you can help me. State of surrender, state of prayer, state of love in the heart. Eventually, when this self mastery happens, what is it that we notice in our masters, physical masters, if you have met, whether it be Dalai Lama, whether it be Daji, Chariji, Babuji, think of any gurus that you have met. What is it that you felt? You felt love. You felt loved. Because that is what their state of being is. So the state of self mastery is a state of love. Why are they serving so much? If you look at Kamlesh Patel, he already has a wife, children, successful, he has riches. He's already achieved his goal of self mastery. Then why is he working so hard day and night to help others? Because now he is helpless. He has become love. In that state of love, life becomes the third principle of Bhagavad Gita, selfless service. You automatically serve. It doesn't matter what is happening in your life at this moment. When you arrive at that state of love, which is state of self mastery, you serve others, you touch another heart, you help another heart. Because you have seen the journey. You know what pitfalls are there at each point. You are not judging anymore. When you get a text from a brother or a sister that I am struggling with this passion, you're not looking down on them because you have gone through the journey. You know at this particular stage this is going to happen. And so you keep cleansing them, you keep giving intentions, giving them love so they can stay on the path. Isn't that what we are doing to each other? What is the difference between the demonic person and a divine person? Like they say, Rakshasas and Asuras and Suras, like, gods and the demons. There was a contest once. They were all given food, and they said that you cannot put the food, you cannot eat, you cannot bend your hand to eat the food. Go ahead and eat. Everybody was struggling. You can't bend your hands, and how do you eat? Asuras could not figure out. The Devas, they started to feed each other. They took the food, they didn't have to bend the hand, they fed each other. By feeding each other, they won the game. That is spirituality. By helping each other, we win the race of evolution, of expansion of consciousness, of self mastery, of that fullest potential. That is why the system is designed in such a way where there are trainers. You give sittings, you take sittings, you help each other. If you gain some knowledge, you share. So, this power of intention is a very powerful tool that we need to utilize to arrive at this state of self mastery. I'm telling you, it not only works in the spiritual field, it works very much in the material field. When I first began my journey in 1986, I remember, a couple, and we would share our apartment, and, we were just beginning our lives. I thought, my husband is a musician. I wrote 100,000 is enough. I'm happy. I'm spiritual. I have to do all this stuff. But the other brother said, I want to save 100,000 this year. And every year he would write, and that number would be increasing. He still has been practicing. He's devoted. But his mind was so clear, he made sure that he made an intention that he wants to make so much money. He made so much money. He's still supporting the mission in a very big way. Power of intention is very um, powerful. We don't utilize, we hide. We hide behind this idea that because we are spiritual, we do not act, we just don't live life, we don't enjoy life, we don't achieve things. That is what Daji is trying to change. So, we want to utilize this tool of power of intention to bring perfection in both material worlds and spiritual world. Now I will share the document so we can all learn from it. So, in spirituality, you are the experiment, you are the experimenter, and you are the outcome, according to Daji. A lot of times, because we have this method of giving sittings and all that, we expect others to do our work. We don't want to do our cleaning. We want preceptors to clean. We don't want to use our own power of intention. We don't want to do our own anger detox or a fear detox or a passion detox. You want somebody else to do. But unless you start to do it on your own, as an experiment, working on yourself, the outcome doesn't come to you. Because their law of karma is there. It is not like I just sit here and master will take me forward. It doesn't work. So we have to utilize the tools that the masters are giving for our self transformation. In this, we have to experiment each and every technique. Why did he give the technique? People will say, oh, master is taking me, I don't need to do anything. To a certain extent, it is true, but to a certain extent, it is not true. If that's all was needed, none of these techniques would have been invented by the great masters. So we have to utilize the power of these techniques. So in this topic, we will be talking about positive intentions and give you some quick idea of the daily practices and the bedtime practices and etc. We already went through that, but we created this PowerPoint so you can just look at all of them at the same time to help yourself master yourself. So how to achieve this transformation? This is what I just explained. Power of positive suggestions work. The power of suggestion emanating from the brain enters the causal body, and the causal body in turn returns it back as the correct neural pathway. And then change manifests in the being. So, after any meditation, from the place of the calmness, you bring your awareness to point A and you make positive affirmations to bring changes in your life. So, intentions at point A, we already learned from the center of the sternum, going one finger width down and going four fingers width inward to the left side. That is point B, and two fingers width up is point A. And that is the field that is connected directly to the source because that is very close to the beat of the heart. And two fingers down is point C. This is where the impressions enter into our field. And two fingers inward towards the left is point D, where we store heaviest impressions, which is guilt. So these are all within the point one area. So I already explained this thought flow in the very first session, where when the thought currents are coming down, it enters the heart through the pharyngeal plexus, where the cosmic and the paracosmic meet, and that current is divided into three flows, and the one flow is coming to point A. And that is why point A is a prayer point, and this is directly connected to the source. And a particular flow, one part of that flow is entering into the lower part of your heart, lower heart, where you go through samskaras, that is going into the outer world. And one portion of that flow is going to the soul, which is connection to God, peace, love. And this connection is very thin connection, the flow that is going into point 2. So what the masters do in the very first sessions is they divert this flow a little bit more towards, after cleansing thoroughly, they divert this flow to the soul. So what happens? You start to, until then you're only thinking about the external world because the thought is going to the external world. You're not thinking about the inner world. Now your thought starts to go to the inner world and you start to feel things inside. You start to feel love. Then this awareness of there is something beyond you, there is something divine beyond you, that awareness happens. So what's happening here? The awareness is being shifted by diverting the thought flow from the matter to the energy field. And this awareness, as with sadhana, as it increases, then you start to experience the other fields that exist in the higher realms. So the flow that is going into the external world, you start to do things, act things, karma, you get interactions. All that flow is again entering into your system through point C. If you clean that very particular day, you do the cleansing, it doesn't enter your field again. It will leave right there. So it doesn't have to enter back and go settle in different areas. So that is the power of cleansing technique. So in this process, we have several kinds of sankalpas that we can make to help ourselves. So for any sankalpa, any intention that you want to make, you come into your heart in a very prayerful way. And any prayer you want to do, if you cannot do it for 20 minutes, intentions won't work. That is why a lot of times people are not successful. They don't sit with it enough. It is like the example, if you want to cook rice, you have to put it in the cooker for 20 minutes. Before that, it's uncooked rice. So also prayer has to be heard You have to call, keep ringing the phone until the phone is answered. So you come into your heart and you make those intentions. And one of these techniques is this absolute mind technique. If you're suffering with depression or if your mind is weak, you need to connect to the mind of the master. You have to connect your mind to the mind of the master. You have to connect the heart to the heart of the master. What does that mean? What is this connection? It is adjusting our frequency. Your frequency of the mind is at a very low level, so it is not powerful. It is falling apart for every wind, every suffering, every thought. Everybody says something, you are falling apart. You are trying to adjust that frequency of your mind that is weak to a higher frequency, just like tuning the violin. I have a perfect violin. Your violin is not tuned. You are trying to be in tune with this higher frequency and bringing your frequency to that higher frequency so you can play the same tune. This is the principle of the absolute mind technique, where you sit with the intention at point A that my mind is connected to the absolute mind of the perfect guide on the planet Earth. That is the perfect master who has that highest superconscious state, and he is connected to the ultimate. So in your heart, you know, this guy, he's connected to the ultimate and he is my guide. So my mind is connected to that mind, the absolute mind of that guide. And second step, you connect and then you have to soak in it. My mind is absorbed in the absolute mind of the superconscious mind on the planet Earth, which is connected to the ultimate. And the third step, one after it is soaking, it has to become one with it, identical. My mind is identical with the absolute mind. My mind is leaving this sankalpa, we forget. My mind is leaving its perverse tendencies and acquiring the qualities of the absolute mind, because our mind tendencies, our mind is going outward with all the weaknesses. So you are making the sankalpa that the mind is leaving its perverse tendencies and acquiring the qualities of the absolute mind. My mind is balanced. This technique is a very good technique to bring ourselves to states of balance. And you can make any many positive sankalpas. I am soaking in the cosmic vibration of balance. I am balanced. I'm soaking in peace, love, and joy. I'm peaceful, loving, joyous. I'm soaking in the vibration of courage and clarity. I am courageous. I am thinking clearly. I have the right understanding. I'm soaking in the vibration of humility and gratitude. I'm humble. I'm grateful. I'm soaking in the vibration of purity, and every speck of my being is pure. And combining all this, Daji made one simple intention. He says, correct thinking, right understanding, honest approach to life is developing in me and everybody in the world. So these are the intentions. We've come into the heart in a very prayerful way. We enter the field at point A. You make the sankalpa in a very prayerful state with utmost humility. You are offering that may this happen. And to remove weaknesses, Lalaji Maharaj has given few techniques. And these techniques are blockages of at point 3 and 4. With these weaknesses, we cannot cross this point 3 vibratory field or point 4 vibratory field. So, at the end of the meditation, when your condition is good, refined, and light, you are absorbed in the divine, then form a will at point A. All my defects. You only you know your defects. Nobody really knows what my defects are. Only I know. So you work it out. I took for several years, I would take one thing and work on that for a couple of months. And then suddenly I would forget about it. And then I observe that when I forget it, that means it has already manifested. People say, if I do it one time, will it? No, you have to call until the person picks up the phone. You have to practice the technique until you feel in your heart this weakness has left you. So, all my defects, particularly this weakness of fault finding, has left me for good. And I have no fancy for it. I have no attachment to it. Why is that we have to say I have no attachment to it? The tendency of the thought flow, the chit-like flow is going outward to the material world. So our nature is to think negative. So you are diverting that to the positive. That's why Lalaji Maharaj gave this technique in such a way. By making the sankalpa, I have no attachment to it. You are cutting your attachment to the earth plane where this weakness is manifesting. So the weakness of criticizing and blaming others has left me for good. I have no attachment to it. The weakness of complaining has left me for good and I have no attachment to it. This weakness of complaining is a very big weakness. We have everything, yet we complain. And once that leaves, you will feel amazing freedom inside yourself. First time you will feel like there is no lack. Because once when I asked a question to Daji, he said, fulfill lack. When you remove the lack inside you, then you are content. So until this complaining goes, even your point one is not in balance totally. Until you stop blaming others, criticizing others, complaining, fault finding, judging, all this are weights. So the weakness of complaining has left me for good. I have no attachment to it. And finally, the weakness of stubbornness. We are very stubborn in the way we are thinking, the way we are acting. We think we are not, but we are. We have certain patterns of thinking. And it's difficult, even for me, at certain times, I catch myself. Oh my God, this, I'm still stubborn in this. Why can't I let go? And then again, I have to go back and work on myself. What is awareness is, as you meditate and do cleansing, what do they mean that awareness increases is you are able to see clearly what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. When weakness is happening, you are able to catch yourself. When we were young, when our awareness was not good, we were not dressing very well because we couldn't see ourselves. Literally, we could not observe ourselves that we are not dressed well. There is no awareness. And because of that lack of awareness, we don't think about others. We're only self absorbed. So, all these qualities, when we utilize this particular technique, we soar in the spiritual field. So, the weakness of stubbornness has left me for good, and I have no attachment to it. So, you may use this technique to remove stubbornness, complaining, blaming, doubting the Guru, or any weakness that you find inside yourself. And the whole purpose of the meditation is to bring the mind to refinement. All the senses have to be refined. When the senses are in balance, you can see clearly, you can hear clearly, you can feel clearly, you will be able to speak from the heart. So, bringing the senses to a state of balance is of absolute necessary, and it is all sankalpa, intention. So, Lalaji Maharaj has given this all my senses are in a state of balance. They have arrived at their original character, and my feelings are in silence. When feelings are in silence, this undue attachment to everything and anything will leave you. And you can make the sankalpa that as all the senses are in balance, all my chakras, all my points are also in a state of original state of absolute balance, and they're actually in harmony with each other. Why did Lalaji put this word harmony, that our chakras are in harmony? Because chakras are basically elements. When the elements outside, when they are not in harmony, when the fire is blowing and air also blows very heavily, the fire spreads and burns everything. They are not in harmony with each other. When they are in harmony, then it doesn't happen. So, this sankalpa that all my chakras are in a state of absolute balance and they are in harmony with each other helps in the progress. So, these are the power of intentions where you make the intentions and different examples you can use. So, these are the daily practices that you would practice in a given day. In a given day, heartful living, what is it about? When you begin the morning meditation, cleanse 5 minutes, connect to the highest consciousness with prayer. It should be connecting to the guide's consciousness, and you meditate. You can try the absolute mind technique and you can begin with the positive affirmations. These affirmations, we think that we have to, the subtler the affirmation with no vibration, even in spiritual work, When you do the work, when there is no vibration, the work is very effective. It's like when the plane is going so fast, you can't feel the movement. It is same with sankalpa. But sankalpa works anyway you work. Like years ago when I used to make sankalpa, there were days that I would thump my feet and make the sankalpa because, as a woman, we go through our hormones, we go through our emotions. But still it would work. It didn't matter uh, how I made the sankalpa, but you have to make the sankalpa. So begin every morning that this day is happening according to thy divine will. I am flowing through this day, accepting everything with love, joy, and gratitude. I am joyful. I am grateful. I am balanced. I am loving. I am peaceful. And during the day, we just have to keep our connection going, remembrance. Every time you get busy with something, just say sankalpa again at point A. I'm connected. And practicing pause, praying before we eat. We do the evening cleaning, remove any strong weaknesses that we may have, and we may practice our universal prayer, point A, meditation, introspection, point D, journal writing, and connect again. So it is like a circle. So we already know this morning practice where you find a place, you find like have the right posture, you relax, you enter the sacred heart, you release the impurities, you make the sankalpa. The heart is filled with so much love, and with utmost humility, you fix your goal to be one with, and you accept your weaknesses, that the desires are there in you, and you connect yourself to that highest consciousness on the earth plane, and make the sankalpa that the prana is automatically flowing into you, and you are being soaking in that divinity. And you know how point B cleansing is done. That point B cleansing, the impurities are leaving from the front of the body. I gave you an example in the olden days when they would pour water and sweep the house. Whichever is the nearest hole, they would push it out. They don't take the water all the way from the front of the house to the back of the house and push it out. So point B is at the very surface of the earth plane, location of it. So anything that's happening immediately, just make the thought it's leaving. It is recommended first thing in the morning, but in the during the day, if you're having some passionate thoughts or anything, just for a few moments bring your attention and think that impurities are leaving from the front of your body. As the smoke is releasing, my soul is glowing in brightness. And you start the day with the positive suggestion that this day is unfolding in the highest good. I'm flowing through this day, accepting everything with love, joy, and gratitude. This is the morning prayer. How to be absorbed. I am absorbed in the source. Everything around me, animate and inanimate, is also absorbed in the same source. So this helps with remembrance. So how I go to work. So I make the sankalpa that I'm absorbed. Just in the very beginning, I make the sankalpa. I'm absorbed in the ultimate source. Everything around me, which is animate and inanimate, is also absorbed in the same source. See, the word and inanimate, people think that there is no life, say in this computer or the light or this plastic flowers. But in nature, everything, it came from the divine, so it has the essence of it. Even I'm in my personal experience, I can tell you, my car has a samskara. Before COVID, I used to drive to go to every office, and I put so much mileage, so we had to finally sell that car. And we bought a car, and we bought it from an old couple that barely used that, and it has only 15,000 miles, even though the car was 4 years old. So my husband jokingly said, oh, I'm giving you a car with 15,000 now. By the end of the year, it'll probably reach 100,000. And we just joked about it. Next thing I know, COVID broke. COVID came. I never went out. And after that, all the classes became on Zoom. Except for groceries, I stopped going. And my car still doesn't have maybe 40,000 miles. And I thought, oh my God, this car has the samskara. And anytime I drive, I feel that it is divine. So we have a myth, because even Chariji once said that He was driving with a driver, a Sikh Sardarji driver, and there was no gas, and they were in the middle of the night in jungles, and Chariji was desperately praying. But this driver was very confident. No, no, sir, don't worry, my car never fails me. And he was talking to it like it was a horse or a bullock, and he's like, chalo bhai, chalo, let's go, let's go. And it took them without any gas for several miles until they found a gas station. These stories are not given like fluke. Those whose mind is connected with that ultimate, this sankalpa is real, that everything is the source. It is the source manifesting everywhere in the universe. So when we have the emotional outbursts, we have this practice where we pause, 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 because emotional outbursts drain our spiritual energy. This is what Chariji said: receive into your heart, refer to your heart. He tapped the physical heart and he says, then respond. So we have to practice this pause. This pause is not easy. So he said, when in doubt, pause. When you're angry, pause. When you're tired, pause. When stressed, pause. When you pause, you pray. You do the spot cleaning. You cleanse yourself and you deeply pray. And we all deal with this. We all go through it. It's difficult for us to pause. But again, this is a habit. You are creating a habit. So every time we make a mistake, we correct ourselves and go back and practice. And eating with positive thoughts. We have to center ourselves before we eat and have this feeling of gratitude we eat. Because what we are intaking is not this solid food, we are intaking vibration into ourselves, which will help our energy field. Because even scientifically, a lot of times people ask why vegetarian meal? Why we should not eat animals? It when for us, our physical body, consciousness, and our soul. When the physical body dies, the consciousness that has weight, whatever samskaras we have, it goes with the pure self. It has the weight. In animal kingdom, they're all tied together. So when the body of the animal dies, the fear is there in that body. Fear of death. So when we are eating that meat, we are intaking that vibration. So that's why we suffer. Then the question arises in the ancient times, all the warriors, they used to eat meat. They were able to eat meat because first they used to pray and offer it, and by holding hands, they created a loving energy field and transmitted to that food that positive energy. And so the food got transformed and they ate. And that became nourishment. And also because they're warriors and they fought, it's like people doing a lot of exercise. If they eat protein and they can digest it, people who don't do stuff like that, they can. The Brahmin kingdom, the Brahmin clan, they were just teachers who just sat and did things. So they could not absorb that protein, animal protein. And even scientifically, I once read an article where there was a particular kind of fish that people were eating and they were getting sick. And they found out when they did the research that that particular fish, when it is dying out of fear, it is releasing some poisonous things out of its system. And so people, when they ate it, they suffered. So then they had to, intoxicate that fish so it doesn't do it before it dies, and then serve. So this is why praying before we eat, because sometimes we don't know what we are eating also. Some friend brings some food and you are eating it, and later you feel drained energy wise, and you don't know why. Because somebody is so angry, they're putting all their anger and hatred into that food. You are intaking it. So the best practice we can do is pray before we eat. And the evening cleansing process, we already talked it in the classes, so I won't go through. 9 o'clock prayer intention is, it is that selfless service of Bhagavad Gita part that we talked about. You arrive at a state of love. Now you don't live for yourself only. You you pray for others. And these are all the point A intentions. And this bedtime introspection and asking for forgiveness is very, very important. There is one spiritual system completely based on this, where their own whole practice is they say, sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. Because by asking for forgiveness, you are releasing half of your karma. Because entire samskaras are where we are making mistakes because of our misdirected thought, misdirected action, misdirected feelings. And because of that, we are creating impressions. And when the heart is hurt, the heart of another person is hurt, it becomes a very strong impression. It becomes very heavy. Why? Because there is God in every heart. There is divinity in every heart. The silent superconscious field is in every heart. So before bedtime, you connect your heart to the cosmic heart of the guide. Introspect, observe, and acknowledge your mistakes, and deeply ask for forgiveness. Ask for forgiveness of things that you have done knowingly and things that you have done unknowingly. And we make a resolution. Again, you are making a sankalpa that I won't make this mistake again. Please help me. So by simply saying sorry, we save ourselves. And we write in our journey, because journalizing is a way of connecting to the guide's heart. I probably gave some examples before, but I don't remember whether I did. I can tell you, when one of my brother, he wrote a letter to Chariji master in those days, and he didn't mail because his father was sick, and so he went to India. And when he went to meet Chariji, he started to talk about, oh, I got your letter, and you said this, and this man is thinking, I don't think I mailed the letter, but he's answering everything. He thought maybe he mailed the letter. But when he came back, he looked in the diary, the letter is still there. That is how powerful thought is. If we are just thinking, Master, help me, instead of that, you write it down, Master, help me, in your diary. The thought is more focused, the vibration is more focused when you take time to write down. It reaches their consciousness right away. I can give you another example. When there was an old lady here that used to work in the Air Force Base, Nancy Tonsberg. When we started her, we tell all these things. So she used to write in her journal. When we took her to India once, and she was introduced to Chariji, and the first thing he said was, oh, I received many letters from you. And she said, Chariji, I never wrote you a letter. No, 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 no. I received many letters from you. And you can't argue with the 80-year-old spiritual master, right? So she came back. And that night when she was writing her diary, she realized, oh my God, every night I wrote my diary and I said, dear Chari, this is what I'm struggling. This is what's happening with me. He received it. His consciousness received it, because the master's consciousness, it is called super consciousness, because its awareness is spread on the entire earth. So when you communicate to that, whether for an intention or a prayer or cleansing, it resonates. So journal writing is a very useful tool, and I cannot tell that enough to people, because I'm lazy writing my journal. And any mood can affect my journal writing. If I'm doing good, I write it down. And if I see something, I write it down. Once there was a period I was going through intense cleaning. I was so upset with Daji that I didn't write my diary for a whole month. And then I see a brother who is close to Daji in my dream that morning. It says, Akka, Daji is looking for your journal. And I woke up and it's like, why is he looking for my journal? Because that is where your condition is. You're putting your condition, spiritual condition down. And like a doctor, he can read the notes and correct it, because they're checking on all the aspirants that are connected to them to see where they are. And one goat is missing one sheep is missing in the flock. They're not worried about the 99 sheep that are there. They're worried about that one sheep that is missing. They go after that. So also diary writing is the best habit you can create for ourselves. So these are the few thoughts, and these are some important aspects, so we can take the practice with a little bit more seriousness and also realize how the practice can bring self mastery in us, how the practice can bring that fullest potential in us. A lot of times people get discouraged. Oh, I am doing this technique. I don't know if it worked. It's not working. I'm not changing. I'm not feeling peace. Chariji once said, progress is like churning butter. You keep on churning, churning, nothing happens. And when the butter comes, it all happens at one moment. So when we keep practicing, it feels like nothing is happening and you are just wasting your energy. It's like lifting weights. You keep on lifting and you think like I'm not weak. I'm still feeling weak. But when suddenly one moment it happens that you notice you're able to catch things better. You're able to walk better because of your walking. So also, whether you feel like you changed or whether you feel you don't didn't change, whether you feel that anger detox worked or fear detox did not work, doesn't matter. What matters is you putting in efforts and doing the technique. And then one fine morning you will feel like, oh my god, there is a state of wonder. Divine is supposed to be a state of wonder. When you start experiencing it, you're like, oh my god, I'm really experiencing the stillness. I'm still really experiencing the silence. How is this possible? And then you will look at your master also, and oh my god, he really is a master. Until then, he's just a Kamlesh Patel or a Chari or a Babuji, just, giving us some spiritual knowledge. But when you actually experience that divinity inside you, like a baby first time looking, opening its eyes and looking at the mother with joy, that feeling of joy is what spiritual journey is about. And then the joy doesn't stop. You will face difficulties. Today I am sitting in front of you. Does it mean that I don't have problems? I have major problems. But all that is just part of life. You face, those are challenges you have to face. But the joy that you're able to feel Him inside you, because the ultimate presence, the awareness of that ultimate consciousness is everywhere. He knows everything, He sees everything, He listens to everyone. You know Him whom you are longing for, and you meditate day after day. Bit by bit, you reach the shores. This idea that the consciousness of the Master is spread everywhere is a very profound thought. Because years ago, my grandfather used to meditate for 70 years when he died. When he died, also, he died symbolically. He put both his hands like this. He was Swami Shivananda's disciple. Before he died, few years before, me and my mom took him to a preceptor. And when he got the sitting, he wept. He said, when I personally worked for 25 years, I experienced this prana flow in me. You people are experiencing it in the very first sitting. What a great master you have. So he told both my mother and me, the journey is not easy. The journey is difficult. But do not leave this system. Take one day at a time, keep moving forward. And then when he was dying also, he died like putting his hands and he said, oh Mahanubhavullara. That means, oh saints, please help me. And I wondered, why is he saying saints? He's supposed to say, oh God. Probably all the saints are watching, like how our masters are watching over us. And after he passed away, one day in meditation, I prayed, Tataya, how is it like that? And that morning I saw him in a dream. And his message was, first time after his death, his message to me was, Amma, when I was on earth plane, I did not know. Here, wherever I look, it is Babuji. Then it dawned on me when Daji said, the emergence of that ultimate into Babuji, and his body could withstand it. And so Babuji's consciousness is expanded in the entire universe. That's what my grandfather experienced because he was a spiritual man, even though he did not practice Ajmark. So the path is very powerful. The techniques are very powerful. The truth is true. We are unable to believe it is true because we haven't experienced it. How are we going to experience the truth? Unless we experiment. We are the experimenters. We need to experiment and we need to arrive at that state of absolute awareness. As your awareness increases, then you recognize, oh my God, what they're saying is true because you yourself felt it. So it's in a mundane example. It's like, what is an experience? An experience is an interaction of yourself with that thing at that moment. It could be anything. If I have cold and I'm eating an apple, the apple tastes horrible. But if I am well, when my impurities are removed, in a well state, I'm eating apple. Oh my God, this apple is sweet. So what is an experience? It is your interaction at that moment. And once you have tasted that apple, now even if you get sick and you eat the apple, you don't doubt the apple. You know you are sick. So that is the journey of the spiritual seekers. In the beginning, we think apple is bad. As we apply the techniques and the sadhana, we realize the apple is really sweet. I am the one who is sick. So, as the journey, that is why Daji said, as you really progress, you really realize you know nothing, you are nothing. And that is true progress. So, for that, we are on this path of self transformation.